name is Clint Arp. I'm a co-president at J.R. Johnson. We're a restoration and general contracting company. I got with me Jason Ramsey. Can introduce himself?
My name is Jason Ramsey. I'm the mitigation and abatement manager for J.R. Johnson.
For the past several weeks, I guess we're coming into months now, dealing with this COVID-19 outbreak. It's nothing really kind of new to us. COVID is new to everybody, but as a company that in restoration, we handle a lot of the bio losses, so we're used to dealing with viruses and other kind of bloodborne pathogens, things like that. So we're an experienced company, at least we feel we've been doing this for over a decade, comfortable dealing with COVID-19. And we're going to go over today over some things that we've been running into that might be helpful for everyone out there trying to cope with and help mitigate these problems that we're dealing with today. So I could probably get in the definition of COVID-19, but I think everyone's been watching the news 24/7 and hearing about it. It's a virus. We don't have a cure for it. We don't have a way of stopping it except for this social distancing and good hygiene, hand washing and all that. So again, I won't get into the details of what it is. I think we kind of know it's some flu-like kind of virus, but it's deadly and a big problem. So I also want to get into some of the things about how it spreads real short, just to kind of summarize what's going on out there. That they can get through the air, it can be through touch points, it can be through basically just being in crowds of people because they're breathing, sneezing, coughing, touching items that you're going to then touch and transfer to yourself. So again, highly contagious virus out there, and since we know some of those basic facts and not all of them, the best way to mitigate is just to stay away from other people and to keep areas highly disinfected, clean, or just don't touch anything at all. Our purpose here is to slow the spread. We don't want to be someone who's actually contributing to the problem. So the non-believers out there should probably start believing a little bit. And again, there's an extreme to every side, but if we could find the middle road of let's just try to be safe and clean and maintain the respect for others if they're a little more nervous than you are. Keep your distance. Stay with the good hygiene is probably the biggest one that everyone keeps saying out there. And if you have the ability to go ahead and disinfect or clean the areas you're working at, even at home, as much as possible. With all of you working in that healthcare service provider area, you're just as familiar, or maybe more in some areas, as to your needs and wants and how to prevent the spread and how to have good hygiene. There is probably the possibilities down the road as we start opening this all up, that there's going to be a little more relaxed environment, there's going to be maybe a little more exposure, so you're going to need companies like ourselves that can go out there and immediately respond and have the proper protection, PPE, so that we don't bring something in, along with we don't take something with us to quickly and properly get this virus under control. So that's kind of our main concern, to start opening things up. We've been dealing with the mitigation process, we've been dealing with the proactive and reactive cleaning. I think down the road, as things get a little more relaxed and slow down, we're still going to have this virus problem for several months, is my opinion. I think most experts agree with that. So you want to have some type of plan in place to how a company like ourselves may come in and help you out. And that could be your common area, that could be your vehicles, that could be somebody's home. It could be all kinds of different opportunities out there to put a stop to this nonsense, I call it. So we're capable of suiting up full bio teams. We're capable of building decontamination chambers. We're capable of actually going in, the same with our abatement, the same with our lead abatement, the same with any other type of virus that we'd be dealing with, to be able to go into that environment, clean it, disinfect it, and come back out and not take it with us and not harm the employee or the people around us while we're doing that. So containments and things like that we're very familiar with. Sometimes containing a room until you can get a response, or if it's some bigger problem. Again, things could get through maybe HVAC systems, things like that. We're very familiar with all these different problems, just dealing with the asbestos abatement and our 10 years experience with our past bio cleanups. And again, Jason's been leading that for, I don't know, several years now. I don't know how long you've been here, but he's kind of that expert as to running those teams on how to do that, some of the complications we ran into, and I don't know if he wants to add to that or not about kind of what you've been doing out there or what you've been running into, some different scenarios, because I know one thing is not the same as another, and a lot of people get confused. They see it once and see it on TV and they think that's how it's going to look, but I think every loss or every condition is going to have a different need to mitigate that problem. So if you want to maybe talk about some of the projects you guys have been on, might be helpful.
Yes, we have been quite involved with mainly the multifamily communities. We've been doing a lot of proactive cleaning cleaning the common areas, the high touch points. We set up some weekly cleans to help enhance your daily cleanups that most people do. All of our techs have been through proper training. We do use an EPA certified disinfectant that is on the list N for emerging pathogens. We are certified in all different levels of PPE, all the way from an N95 mask to half and full face respirators to PAPR systems. We have a full abatement team that are experts in containments and working with asbestos, so they definitely have the understanding of keeping control of the environment. So we can assist in many different levels of cleaning, all the way from infectious cleans to proactive cleaning daily or weekly if needed.
And I think one of the things I've seen with people are jumping into this game, they don't have the proper PPE, they don't have the certification, they don't have the proper training, so they're doing a lot of cross-contamination themselves. And I know the strict guidelines we have to follow in laws, federal laws, with the asbestos abatement. You guys have been very good at getting your post-testing and not getting in trouble, and we're using those kind of same protocols with the confirmed COVID cases, so we know it works because none of our guys are getting asbestos contaminated.
And then disposal of everything afterwards. There's a proper way to dispose of things. This isn't just shove it in a black bag and take it to the dump. Anything that's a confirmed case of COVID needs to be properly handled and properly disposed of as biohazard waste.
Yeah, I mean, you got that liability factor of somebody gets hurt or contaminated for your improper disposal or cleaning procedures. That's a big one. And we know there's a lot of people out there just throwing it in a dumpster somewhere. And there are people actually looking in dumpsters that could get hurt. So we've seen that scenario down the road with needles and other things. So COVID, you can't see it, but we know it's there, or at least we think it's there. Until we can prove it's not, we're going to act like it is. Jason, you kind of went over touch points. I think that's pretty much a basic thing, but we could go over some of these, the doorknobs, the push plates, even now people aren't touching doorknobs, they're touching the door. So you kind of watch where people are walking through rooms and how they're, changing their habits. We're also going to change the touch point cleaning habits, I've noticed myself. So we clean in our office, you've had guys going through here and all that. So this is also an evolving thing. People wearing masks, not masks, where they throw the mask. I think this is something that everyone's got to pay attention to, that as we make this video presentation, things can change in the next week, so we're adapting and evolving with that all day long too. And that's kind of where I look at you as the expert on there. You're the one paying attention, talking to the other experts and paying attention to change our ways if needed as this evolves. So from day one to day whatever we're on now, day 80 something, I don't know if it's 80, I guess it was 85 days ago, first case in the US, but it's something that it always will change, and people have to be ready for that constant moving, changing, and a company that pays attention to that, I think, is where we can really pride ourselves on that, and your team are working on that.
And I think some of the methods that we employ as well, not just wiping, but the fogging methods, help get into the areas and onto the vertical surfaces that may have been touched as the habits change. So there are different methods and ways of cleaning that we employ for any circumstance.
And the type of chemicals we're using, I think, is, I'm pretty impressed with the botanical product of that concrovin that we use. And we have some others, but that product can be applied in a dwell time of, I think it's under 2 minutes, will kill that virus. Probably faster, but we're going with the 2 minute. So we can fog an area and get everything basically killed down and have that reopen within 15 minutes. And that goes back to the prior statement of, if you do have a confirmed case or you think something's going on and you want to keep your area open and get it reopened fast, we can do that. So by the time we're done and we leave, 15 minutes later, it's back in normal operation. I think the product selection is a big one. I've seen people out there now getting some types of poisonings or some off-gassing because they're using what they have, or they're making improper mixtures of bleach. So the product we use, it's safe. It's also something that doesn't smell so bad, has a little clean smell to it. There is a little off-gassing to it, but it's not harmful. And not everyone has that ability to get that product either. So there's a shortage on PPE and on products, and here at J.R. Johnson, we're well equipped for all of that. You mentioned a bunch of the equipment and all that. I didn't know if you wanted to show a different, what these are. Some people get very confused when they talk about a mask or someone just kind of face covering, the N95 mask. All of these things are being suggested or saying that they should be used, and I think that down the road, different states and different counties are going to have different requirements. But I have noticed that there are people doing confirmed cleanups and they're not using the proper PPE and they're not disposing of it properly. So if you are going to bring somebody in, make sure that they are following these rules, because you don't want them to come and contaminate you as much as them taking it with them to their home, family, kids, or anyone else, neighbors. Again, a lot of this is going to be kind of a proactive way of looking at how we move forward in the future. We can't stay locked down forever, so we have to do the proper ways and do things fast when a problem arises.
So I know being in healthcare, you guys are probably very familiar with a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you. But we've got your basic N95 mask, which there's definitely been a shortage of, so hopefully you guys all have what you need. We do have what we need as a company to keep our guys safe. We were lucky enough to do this every day prior to the COVID outbreak, so we have what we need, but not in excess. A lot of our guys are certified in respirators as well, so fit testing is required if you're going to use these. So most of us already have something a little more extreme than the N95 itself. So we've got the half face and the full face respirators with HEPA filtration cartridges, and we also use the stack cartridges for organic gases and stuff because we're spraying the chemicals. Due to us having an abatement company, we do have, as I mentioned earlier, some more heavy-duty equipment. We've got your PAPR system, which is a pressurized air purifying respirator. This pumps air in for the cleaning technician. This is what we're using on our infected cleans. It attaches to both our half face and our full face respirators, so the guys are all fully protected with the full face. This allows us to go into a more contaminated environment and have a more prolonged cleaning time. So I know not everybody in your industry has these, so if you do have more of an infected area, these are the kind of equipment that you want to have your personnel look into, or if you're looking for a cleaning company. So that's just some basic equipment that we use, along with our suits, goggles, gloves.
That are properly disposed of after we go into a confirmed case and all that. And I think that's kind of the big things I've seen out there too, is people don't have things like this, but they're doing their own cleanups or thinking you can just hire a cleaning company. They really need to follow those OSHA laws. You hear about OSHA now being notified just for the social distancing. They're also going to get notified if somebody starts getting hurt. The lawsuits are already starting to happen. We've already seen that. I don't need to name all the companies, but there are several large ones out there. Everyone's going to look for someone to blame. So you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be the one on the hit list. So when you're hiring a company, make sure you hire someone that has the proper equipment and training, like we're mentioning, the fit testing and the certifications. And you also don't want to be the employer who has an employee do things that may put them into harm's way. And again, that might be the service we may be able to add as you run into a problem. You call a company like us, we can come and take that liability off of you for that cleanup and make sure that you don't get hurt and we don't get hurt and we don't transfer it somewhere else. Other general cleaning companies that we've seen out there trying to compete, if you will, are not trained and are not ready, and their experience level is maybe about 2 months. One of the other things we want to bring up, since we're not just a restoration company, we're a full services general contracting company. That basically means we can come in there and handle any bio loss, any water loss, any sewage loss. If you had a fire, if you had a sprinkler activation, if you had vandalism, if you had somebody break a window, whatever the needs are, we can handle that. We're start to finish, so we can go in there in a safe approach, make sure nobody gets hurt, disinfect, make it safe. If someone were to pass or there's a problem or you have some other pathogens that need to be cleaned up or some building components or materials that need to be removed, we can do all of that, and we can actually put it all back together. So we have full carpenters, drywallers, painters, framers, roofers, probably missing several out there. So we are really full services. We're not just a restoration, we're not just a bio, we're not just a cleaning company. You know, we range in from 130 to 150 employees. We've been around for 50 years. We're not nervous about doing this. We are paying attention. We got Jason as an expert, always paying attention to the newest and greatest things that we need to do and pay attention to. And I think that we're the right call for any kind of scenario, since we don't need to really ask for any help. We can guide you through that process and make it as quick and easy and cheap as possible. As you know, the more companies you bring in, the more confusing you can get. So the faster you can get something back into operations and back online, the better for everybody. So some of the references we can use to ensure that people know what we're doing. You know, we've been doing this for 50 years. The bio team side has been over a decade. We work for a lot of the public transportation, so we built the trust with them. We work for a lot of the affordable housing, a lot of other people that have very strict government guidelines, so we know how to follow them. We understand their needs, we understand their billing cycles. We basically have a great long-standing relationship. So again, even when we do that type of work, a lot of it is government driven or paid for. And again, the public services side of that, we are already contracted with a lot of them, so that is a very strong comfort zone for us. We're not new to the game. We're willing to talk about and help in any way that we can, whether we're actually getting paid or just being a sounding board for any of the problems you may have. So we feel that's another strong presence that we can bring, working with everybody in the city of Portland here and surrounding cities, of course, at all different levels, from city, state, county, private, and nonprofits, even some of the hospital side and all that. We've done some work, so we're ready for any type of case that comes up, and we'll be comfortable. And having a contractor that's comfortable doing that work makes things a lot smoother and easier.
24/7, we always have a response team available, so if this happens after hours or there's any kind of emergency, don't hesitate to call.
But we are a member of the OHCA, so we're somebody who wants to have that long-term relationship. Again, we didn't just jump into this. We're not new. We want to keep this relationship going. We don't know what next year is going to bring. We don't know what the next 5 years are going to bring. Obviously, relationships and having a good reputation is probably half of the important things in my world, even with my clients and people I work with. Reputation of people standing by their word and doing it for a long time are very important. So we just like to kind of end this with both of us thanking all the healthcare workers out there, everyone on the front lines. We're part of the essential group also, but again, the people actually dealing with it on a minute-by-minute basis is something that everyone should be appreciating. They're putting themselves into harm's way. So again, just representing J.R. Johnson, thanking everyone out there on the essential services and especially the healthcare workers. I think they're doing a great job, obviously, because we're getting through this and things are getting better. So from J.R. Johnson, thank you very much.
Thank you.